Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the ThinkComputers Weekly Tech Podcast. This is episode number 438. And as always, we are brought to you by Amazon. Maybe not always. We have other sponsors every now and then.
We do have other sponsors.
If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon, pick something up there that helps us out, gives us a little kickback from your purchase. Doesn't cost you anything, but helps us keep the podcast rolling. And like always, on the other window there's Bob. What's going on, Bob?
The other window. We could like switch the window like that.
No, because then I'm looking off to the side.
Yeah, we could switch the window. But yeah, what's going on? I'm
just trying to stay warm over here, man.
Yeah, it was so funny. Ryan and I were talking the other day, and he was like showing me a picture of the snow, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I just went for a run in shorts, and it's nice over here."
Got some cold temps going on, so
yeah, that's like I said, that's one thing I just do not miss. I do not miss the cold and the snow from the East Coast. I don't miss it at all. But yeah, another week. We have so much to talk about this week. We're obviously going to talk about the RTX 5070 Ti launch. Our review is coming out tomorrow because we have a non-MSRP card. So we'll definitely be talking about that. I can't tell you about my card specifically, but we'll talk about performance, value. There's a lot to talk about with this card. We also have a review of some Lexar DDR5 memory. We're going to be talking about some more RTX 50 cards that could possibly be in the pipeline, especially going down to something like an RTX 5050, if that is a possibility. Yeah. More information on Radeon RX 9000 series, so 9070 and 9070 XT. The reviews of AMD's Ryzen AI Max Plus APUs came out, and everybody loves this thing. So we'll talk about that. A really cool eGPU coming out from Asus. Intel breaking up, possibly. There's some more chatter about that. Pretty interesting phone. We don't talk about phones that much, but I thought this one was interesting from Samsung. So we'll talk about that. Borderlands 4 official trailer. Talk about that. And the guys over at Corsair are telling us that GTA 6 is going to come out for PC in 2026. So we have a lot to talk about. If you do want to follow along with us, we do have our full show notes page up here that has everything that we're going to be talking about this week, along with links. So if you hear anything that you maybe want to reference later, or you want to follow along with us live, go to the show notes. Everything's there. And let's just go ahead and get started. So I took a look at some DDR5 memory from Lexar. I feel like it's been forever since I haven't reviewed a graphics card or anything like that. So I took a look at the Lexar ARES RGB DDR5-7200 megahertz kit. This is a 32 gigabyte kit. And this is sort of like the last kit from this Lexar ARES series. Like ARES 2, which we got previewed at CES, is coming out. So this is sort of like the last kit that they're going to release in their normal ARES series. It's still a really, really great series. 7200 megahertz is going to be the fastest that you're going to get in this ARES line. That's with timings of 34, 42, 42, 84 at 1.4 volts. Now, the interesting thing that Lexar does with this ARES series, which I have not been a fan of, is like each speed is a different color. Like the actual color of the heat spreaders is different depending on the speed of the kit you have, which I'm not a fan of. So with the 7200 megahertz kit, it's black, but like on the 6400 megahertz kit that we reviewed, it was gunmetal, and you can't choose depending on the speed, which is weird.
That's really weird.
So I'm definitely not a fan of that. I do like the design of these. It has like this matte black, which I think looks good. At the top, we have the ARES logo. And of course, this is a diffuser for the RGB lighting. And then on the back, we just, of course, have that sticker and everything like that. These aren't necessarily huge by any means, so you shouldn't have any problem with clearances when it comes to your CPU. These do look quite nice with the RGB lighting. Lexar does have their own RGB software. So say you have like an Asus motherboard and you're not a fan of Aura Sync, you don't necessarily have to use it. But of course, this memory is going to be compatible with all of the motherboard RGB software. So Aura Sync, what are the other ones called? I just totally blanked.
Geez.
Gigabytes.
I don't even use them, so
yeah,
I don't know. You're the one that
but
does
it's all the
motherboard.
major motherboards. RGB software is compatible with this memory. Aura Sync did pick it up, no problem, on the Asus motherboard that I used, and it does look quite good overall. It looks like a single light bar. You really can't tell there's like individual LEDs down in there. Really easy to go ahead and use. As far as testing goes, when it comes to memory, you know, everything is going to be pretty straightforward across the board. Now, we don't have comparison testing because I tested this on our brand new Intel system, which we haven't tested any other memory on. But overall, the performance is going to be really good. 7200 megahertz is, I guess, for the new Intel systems, Core Ultra is going to be on the kind of middle road. It seems kind of high for like a Z790 system or something like that. But for the newer Core Ultra systems, it's going to be, I would say, kind of middle of the road, considering you can run like up to 9,000 megahertz, no problem, on a lot of those systems. When it comes to overclocking, this is already clocked quite high for Lexar, so I wasn't able to get like necessarily a ton out of this kit. I was able to get it up to 7,466 megahertz. So not a whole lot of overclocking headroom on these. The good thing about these is that they are pretty affordable overall, like $114 for the 32 gigabyte kit. So not all that expensive at all. And I gave them a 9 out of 10. I think when it comes to DDR5, you want to pick a kit that's going to operate at whatever processor you're running. If you're running something a little bit older with DDR5, it may not get up to 7200 megahertz, so you want to keep that in mind. But if you're running a newer system, it shouldn't have any problems. And then you want to go ahead and look at the heat spreaders. You want to look at the RGB lighting, kind of what you want. But overall, I've been really impressed with Lexar's DDR5 offerings. And like I said, they will be coming out with sort of like an Ares 2, which we did get to preview at CES. So definitely stay tuned for that. But solid overall memory kit. Can't really say much bad about it, except for one, you can't select your heat spreader color. And they offer white, gunmetal, and black, but it's all dependent on the speed, which is just weird. And then there's no 64 gigabyte kits available, only up to 32. So
yeah,
can't get 64 on
that color thing's really weird. Like,
yeah, I was just like, maybe they're just like not making a whole lot of, I don't know. I don't know why they did that, but that's what they decided to do. So, okay. But check out the review if you are interested. Yeah, we'll move on to Case Mod Friday, and we have a build called ROG Astral. And this one is from Modding Cafe. They always put out good stuff. And this is like, I know Ryan has been talking about wanting to build a small form factor system. And I think this would be like, this is like the LAN rig. This is like the perfect LAN rig. It has the handle on the top. It has a lot of hidden water cooling, which I like. So it's essentially, I'm trying to find like this, a good picture here. So like, here's your mini ITX motherboard. It has that GPU or that CPU block that there's no tubing on the exterior. It goes through the motherboard, which is really, really cool. Then you have your reservoir and sort of like a distro plate on the end here, which looks great. So you can see it over here. And then you have, of course, that ROG Astral graphics card, which I reviewed, which is excellent card. And then you have the 360 millimeter radiator for your cooling on that side. Of course, the graphics card is not water cooled, but what do you think about this one, Ryan?
Yeah, I like it. It is very clean. I like the look. If you go back 2 pictures, I guess, or no, that one's fine. Just one that shows the system.
Oh, that's one.
So like, I love that the angled lines on the power supply. They're not 100% there, but like kind of line up with the angled lines on the heatsink. Up top for the I guess it's not the
right there,
or it's the IO shield cover, I guess. But
yeah,
like I like those lines, there, and then you've got the lines on the fans that kind of just add to the look of it. Yeah, it's very, very cool.
This, like I said, this would be the perfect LAN rig.
It's pretty compact.
It has the handle at the top.
Yep.
That massive Asus Astro card. This thing has to be heavy though for the handle.
Yeah, and I mean it's a 360 radiator, and it's thicker. It's definitely thicker than like a standard like 27 millimeter radiator. But yeah, it's got to be thick. Even if it's made out of aluminum, you still got a lot there. You got a lot of acrylic up at the front.
Like I said, just a graphics card is very, very heavy.
Yeah.
But very, very cool. Like I said, I love small kind of like I said, I just think like I would just have this, and this would be my LAN party rig. I just take it with me. Super easy to take with you. And again, there's not really much exposed water cooling, which again, I really, really like, right? So you don't have to worry about like knocking that into anything besides this end piece, I guess. But
yeah, and the only tubing I saw was like hard tubing on the backside, just to kind of route some. It was on like right there on the backside of the reservoir. Yep.
Yeah.
Right in there. So
yeah. So
very well hidden.
Very, very well. Everything's really well hidden. It's just a sleek build. So definitely go ahead and check this one out from Modding Cafe. And like I always say, we do have our full section of Case Mod Friday builds. If you're on the website, just go to articles, click on Case Mod Friday, and then there's like you could scroll for like ever on that page. There's just so much there. So you can just have fun and see what you can do with PC hardware. It's just always good to do that. So, talking about the ROG Astro, I didn't put it in the show notes, but I did post a video review of the RTX 4080 ROG Astro card. We reviewed it last week, and I put the video out this week. So if you are interested in that video is on our YouTube channel. So we'll go to the NVIDIA RTX 5070 Ti. And this is the third RTX 50 series graphics card to come out. One that you were looking for.
Yeah.
You were quite interested, and we were talking before the podcast. You're still quite interested possibly in this card. Like I said, our review is not out because we have a aftermarket card that's non-MSRP.
Right.
I would say, like I said, I watched a handful of videos. I went over to like Tech Power Up, always has great. Actually, I'll just go to Tech Power Up because we'll get some numbers from them because I can't tell you my numbers technically.
Yeah, you mentioned I'm looking at this card. I am. I'm waiting though until the 5070 comes out. I really want to see the difference between those two cards, and I think that's kind of what we'll get to here in a bit. Once we kind of dive into this
so according to the Tech Power Up, this card is, so we're comparing it to things. They say it's I can't find it now.
Towards the middle, they say that it's beating the 7900 XTX.
Yeah, it beats the 7900 XTX, which of course is a good thing for NVIDIA.
Performance of 4080 and 4080 Super.
Yeah, it's around the same performance as a 4080, possibly 4080 Super. I think it's about on giving NVIDIA some points here. It's anywhere from 6 to 10% faster than an RTX 4070 Ti Super. And that's at 1440p. And then at 4K, it might be a little bit better. Maybe like 8 to 20% faster than an RTX 4070 Ti Super. That's not great, in my opinion. The performance, it's kind of underwhelming. I think the biggest thing, and I kind of talked about this in my review, which you guys will get to see tomorrow, but I think the biggest thing with the RTX 50 series is we were there, we were like at CES. The big thing was we saw RTX 4070, the non-Ti, same performance as RTX 4090 for $549, and everybody was like, NVIDIA is finally helping us out. Like $549, that's so much more attainable. I could get RTX 4090 speeds, blah 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 blah, and maybe with DLSS 4 and multi-frame generation,
right?
But definitely not in raw performance. And the performance gain that you do get in raw performance is, in my opinion, not enough. It's not enough for that generational leap per se. And okay, so the MSRP of this card, not, just if you find cards that are MSRP, it's supposed to be $749, right?
Right.
So at $749, that actually makes it $50 cheaper than the RTX 4070 Ti when it launched. So that's a good thing. So you're getting
absolutely.
You're getting a $50 discount with actually better performance by 8 to 10% per se, let's say.
Yep.
But is $749 the real MSRP of this card? Is it? There's no Founders Edition, so you won't be able to find that card.
Yep.
And everything that I've seen, we don't know because the cards go on sale tomorrow. But everything that I've seen, all the leaks that we've seen leading up to this, show that even cards that are MSRP cards are not going to be at MSRP.
Right.
Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I know the price. I know the MSRP of the card that I'm reviewing, which again, I can't tell you till tomorrow.
So with MSRP, like the manufacturer can't sell it at that. But what keeps a Best Buy, a Micro Center, a Newegg from selling it at higher than MSRP, right?
Well, I don't think it's the retailer
that's imposing that price.
Yeah, I think it's that NVIDIA set this MSRP, and say Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, everybody who's making this card, they're like, if I have an MSRP card, I'm not making any money on it for what I'm being charged. I'm not making any money on this card. And again, it also comes to availability. One of the biggest things with the RTX 50 series is that there's no way NVIDIA didn't know people would want these, right? Like, they know.
They want regeneration.
Yeah. And we saw it with the 5090. We saw it with the 5080. And we're likely going to see it here where they go on sale tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're going to be gone. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then you're going to get scalping prices. You're also just going to get prices that are just going to go up because of the fact that there's no availability.
Yep.
Just in general. And all of those MSRP cards are going to be gone. So you're going to have to buy the super high-end cards from all the other brands. And those super high-end cards are going to be hundreds of dollars more expensive. I think gone are the days of like the $20 aftermarket, the $30 aftermarket card, right?
Yep.
It's always going to be like 100. And then if you talk about like the top end cards are going to be like $150, $200 more over MSRP. And even at $800, I don't feel like this card is really necessarily worth picking up, in my opinion. Now, so you have lackluster performance. You have, I wouldn't call it a fake MSRP, but like you really can't get it at the MSRP, at least in my opinion. That's my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Third, you have NVIDIA definitely prioritizing other products other than their consumer graphics cards. So you don't have the availability, which some of that does have to fall on NVIDIA, right?
Right.
So you would think, okay, NVIDIA is in trouble. They're not satisfying gamers. Nobody's happy. Lackluster performance, right? All of these things, right? So you would think, oh man, everybody's going to come after NVIDIA. The problem is there's absolutely no competition. None.
Not at the high end. No,
that's what I mean. And this is part of that high end because this card outperforms the 7900 XTX, which is AMD's last generation flagship. And we know that the Radeon the upcoming Radeon RX 9070 XT is not going to be as powerful as that card, and it's likely going to compete against an RTX 5070. So at this price point, there's no competition, there's no availability, and NVIDIA can essentially just get away with this.
I mean, they've been doing it for multiple generations.
It allows them to because there's no competition. We've talked about this for years on this podcast when it comes to competition.
Right.
For years on the CPU side, we had, what did we have, Ryan? We had quad core CPUs forever.
Yeah, that was it.
Forever. And then AMD came along and we had Ryzen, and the cores kept on going up. Yeah, it kept on going up. And we had a lot of competition, and now you see how the market is. So if there's going to be no competition at the high end at all, it allows NVIDIA to just be like, okay, we'll put out this. Doesn't really matter, you know.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of how I see the RTX 50 series so far.
Well, I mean, it's been like that for multiple generations. You know, all we can do is like hope AMD can pull off a CPU type of, you know, their GPU version of Ryzen, right? Like they need that, and
it's definitely not happening this generation. It's not happening. And that's the thing, and it's that if you watched. I watched a handful of 5070 Ti review videos today. I believe it was Linus's video. He has a really good graph in there about the different generations of 70 series cards and like the performance that you got each generation and the price. And he explains it really well that if you would wait 2 generations, so say you're on a 3070 and you want to get the 5070 Ti, you know, after those 2 generations, you got so much more performance at around the same price. And now you see from the 30 series to now, the price has gone up exponentially, and we're getting so much less performance. And that's kind of where we're at. And it's not a good place because it's so hard as somebody who's reviewing these products to like be like, yeah, get this card. Like it's
right. It'd be great, or it would be better at the MSRP if you could get it, right? Or a little bit more because, you know, the cooler's a little better, right? But like, yeah, it sucks for sure.
Yeah, it's lack of competition creates stuff like this. And like I said, NVIDIA can just essentially just get away with it, you know. If it is your time to upgrade, like you're on the, like Ryan is looking to upgrade, he's on a 2070 Super, right? Yeah. So Ryan's on 2070 Super. So this would be a time for him to upgrade. I think if you can get it at MSRP, it wouldn't be a bad thing to upgrade to. You are going to get DLSS 4 and multi-frame generation, which is really, really awesome. In general, the 5070 Ti is going to be your 1440p card of this generation. You're going to get over 100 FPS in most titles at 1440p. At 4K, in some titles, it will go down below that 60 FPS. So you could turn your settings down, but of course you can take advantage of, again, DLSS 4 and things like that. So you can do 4K, but this is going to be your solid 1440p card. I would say, like I said, if you can get it at MSRP, wouldn't be bad. If you can't get it at MSRP and you have to get that super high-end card that's close to $1,000, which we've seen some leaked prices, I would say try your hardest to get a 5080 at MSRP.
Right.
Which again is right now, I think, wait.
Yeah, there was.
I mean, like, I don't really know what to tell somebody who's in your situation, Ryan, as you want to upgrade. You're back further than some people. You know, some people are on 30, they want to upgrade. But you're on the 20 series and it's upgrade time, and you want something, but you can't get anything at the price that was advertised. You can't get anything.
Right.
We don't know what AMD is going to do yet. And we don't know what performance that AMD card is going to be. We especially don't know the pricing. That's going to be the biggest factor of that card, is going to be the pricing. And I really think they have to price it aggressively. Yeah, wait.
Yeah,
I don't like what is your, so you're the person in this situation who wants to upgrade. What is your consensus?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I'm gonna wait and see what 5070 performance looks like compared to 5070 Ti, right? See if like even at like MSRP price difference, right? Like what does it look like based on if I was able to get both of them at MSRP, right? And then factor in, okay, what is the real price? And just kind of work from there.
I think that's a big thing, because there is a pretty big gap between pricing on 5070 and 5070 Ti.
Yep.
And again, if the games that you are playing are, have DLSS 4 and you can do multi-frame generation, you can get that. People call it fake frames, but you can get that performance back if you're really concerned about it.
Right. And you've got some overclocking headroom, right? Like you can make up, you're not going to make up all the performance, but you can make up some headroom with some easy overclocks. So
and like I said, it's just a bad. We always think, oh man, this generation we don't have a chip shortage. But we essentially don't have allocation of cards. Pricing's going to be fine, but pricing's all over the place as far as like you can't find anything. And even if you're looking at older cards, even if you're looking at 40 series cards, they're still not priced correctly. They're still not good pricing anywhere on anything. It's just
there's a guy on Facebook Marketplace locally here that had 3 5080s that he was trying to get rid of, right? And they were double what he, MSRP.
Oh yeah,
more than double. It was just wild.
It's just the biggest thing to do is wait, see if there's more availability of more cards. That's the best scenario, because that will ease prices back to what they should be, right? At least hopefully.
Well, try and use those programs like we were talking about the Zotac last week. Trying to use Discord, I think it was, to get cards in the hands of actual users and gamers and at acceptable prices.
So that brings us to our first real news story here, since we talked about the 5070 Ti, and this is about the 5070 Ti. Will gamers face another availability nightmare? And I honestly, from what I've seen, I think that's the case. Some reports are that retailers only receiving 10 to 20 units across, whoever's, MSI, Gigabyte, Asus, that's not a lot. And again, you're going to have the scalpers. You're going to, you think we'll still see the lines at?
Well, I was going to say, I was like, man, it's like really cold here right now. Maybe this would be one of those times where it's like, oh, maybe I should go wait in line. But I got too much stuff going on.
Oh yeah, go wait in line, live stream it. We'll keep an eye on you. We'll send you coffee.
Freeze to death out there.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, I think especially considering the 9070 XT won't be available tomorrow, obviously when this launches at retailers, there's not gonna be a whole lot left. And it just never seems like all these retailers are able to tackle scalping and things like that. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be great. But talking about supply, there are rumors that the RTX 5090 supply will increase in the coming months. So maybe you can get one of those, Ryan.
Yeah, maybe. Probably not. Probably not going to do that.
So NVIDIA had a lot of excess production for AI, and it looks like that might be repurposed towards the 5090. That's a good thing. So NVIDIA purchased a bunch of TSMC yields, but the market doesn't want necessarily that. So they could make as much RTX 50 series cards as possible. We'll see if this is true. This is obviously just a rumor, but I think it's a good, like I said, so when it comes to the 50 series, supply is going to be the biggest factor determining pricing, and if you can get these cards at their supposed MSRP. So hopefully that's the case. Is a month or 2 months later a good thing? Probably not, but It's better than having still like it's better than a couple cards trickling in and then they're gone, a couple cards trickling in and then they're gone. It's good that if you maybe in a month, if you go on a Newegg or an Amazon, you have like 6 or 7 5090s to choose from, right? If you wanted to pick one up. So hopefully that could possibly be the case. We'll just have to see. Also talking about 50 series is that Zotac has listed both an RTX 5050 and an RTX 5060 in their EEC filings. Now, they did list a 4050 last time, and we never got a 4050. So, but the filings are there for the 5060, 5060 Ti, and 5050. Hopefully these will be available too. We don't know. Do you think we'll see a card below a 5060?
So that gets us to what, 7 GPUs if you add in the 5050? Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe you got to think about like that market share that went after Intel, right? For Intel's latest Battle Mage cards, right? Like,
yeah.
Does the 5050 get down to that price range? Maybe. Because that's a market that they don't have an offering for right now. They do. That's current, I should say. Right?
And they've always kind of split it, right? You kind of lost the RTX, and maybe this is the generation where maybe you get a little bit of RTX in that lower spot. You have a nice entry level option. Yeah. Not sure what necessarily the performance level will be. Obviously, it has to be better than an APU or integrated graphics, but it, yeah, 1080p esports card is what it would.
There you go.
Kind of be maybe, but we'll see if that actually is the case. If we actually get a 50-50, we'll see. Like Ryan said, it could be a nice little competition against what Intel's doing on the low end. So we'll see if, like I said, if that's actually the case. Moving on to Radeon RX 9000 series. A lot of people are, as we said, and the smart thing to do is sort of waiting to see what AMD does. They are set to unveil these cards on February 28th. They're going to have an event that will be live streamed on YouTube at 8 a.m. Eastern time, going over we would assume the 9070 and 9070 XT, RDNA 4, everything that they're doing. Hopefully, at this point, we would get the pricing. I think that because the 5070 Ti is out, that maybe we'll get some good pricing, and we'll see. But that's definitely, at least we have something on paper that we know. Because again, we all thought this was going to be CES. So
yeah, I was gonna say this is like 2 months, almost 2 months after we thought we would see it at CES. So
yeah, I think
some good looking cards there, though, right? Like if those are indicative of what we're getting, there's at least some good looking cards.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some good looking cards available. We'll have to see. I'm just excited to get at least some competition at some price point here, because currently we don't have much.
Right.
When it comes to the newer cards. So we'll see. Obviously, we'll keep you guys updated. More that comes out as we get closer to that date. Sapphire Radeon RX 9070 XT. We saw this initial picture. That's actually on the Radeon picture that we just had up, this card. But this card has a little hidden feature, which is the power connector is actually hidden.
That's cool.
Back here. This does look like a really nice card. So this is Sapphire Radeon RX 9070 XT Nitro Plus.
Reminds me of like a Pro Art.
Yeah, it kind of does. It really does. I kind of like how they kind of put everything kind of like on the side here. It's just like different. But yeah, pretty cool to see different, I always think like the Nitro card from Sapphire is usually one of the best. Besides, like, what is it? The Red Devil from
from Power Color.
Power Color, yeah. So pretty cool looking card there. And then also a few 9070 XTs were listed on Amazon. And somebody was able to buy one. Somebody on Reddit was able to buy one. And this gives us some pricing. This is pricing that was listed on Amazon. So XFX Swift RX 9070 non-XT 649, which isn't horrible. The 9070 XT from XFX is 749. So that might be MSRP of the 9070 XT.
Because those are both Swifts, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Then the XFX Quicksilver RX 9070 XT is 769. The XFX Mercury RX 9070 XT OC 819. And the XFX Mercury 9070 XT OC Magnetic Air 849. And somebody was able to pick up that Sapphire Nitro card, 9070 XT. They were able to buy it. So I don't know if this got canceled or it's just going to ship on the release date. Nobody knows, but they were able to pick it up. What do you think of pricing? So if you think $649 for the 9070 and $749 for the 9070 XT, that means that that $549 for the 50, that's above the $549 for the 5070 on both cards.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got to hope that it equals or beats that performance, especially if it's $100 more than the base 5070.
And you have to remember the 9070, the 5070 Ti MSRP is $749.
Right. So yeah, if you're I mean, $749 on the XT here. I don't know. I mean, we say in the article that it's supposed to be right around there's some rumors that it could be 5080 price or speed, I'm sorry, in 4K, right?
Possibly.
Close to. So yeah, I don't know.
It's
so always, you just gotta wait till it's out.
Yeah, you just gotta wait. It's
even then, you know the performance may be there, but if the MSRP shenanigans happen on the AMD side, then
you think
maybe
AMD held off because of availability? So
if they've got enough.
They have a ton. So if you want a 9070
or
9070 XT, on launch, you'll add say Micro Center gets 100 units each or something pretty hefty. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. We'll have to see. All of the models look nice. It's good to see that. So we'll see if that actually happens. Also talking about AMD, and we got to preview this at CES, their Ryzen AI Max Plus APUs. You'll see those on a lot of 2-in-1s, the ROG, the ROG Flow Z13. Ryan got to play on that, and it was pretty flawless experience. The reviews are now out. There are a ton of reviews of different things. Everybody that I've talked to, people that have been in the industry for a while, and a lot of people that I just follow on social media, everybody has been praising this. They've been praising this so much. So the Ryzen AI Max Plus 395, that features the Radeon 8060S GPU. Really, really great performance on this. Really, really good. Pretty flawless performance. And I think maybe this is the direction that AMD is going. They're not putting as much because this is going to sell more units.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to hear that and see that happen, but like you said, if it's going to sell more units, they're probably going to put a little more focus into this compared to dedicated GPU.
Yeah.
And it's in such a small package too, right? That laptop I was playing on it was like the Surface, a little bigger, but yeah.
Yeah, doing really good comparatively to a lot of RTX 4070 level laptops. And again, this isn't going to be like that desktop replacement. These are meant for again, that ROG Z or Flow, whatever. It's so small. It's like a tablet. It's essentially a tablet.
Yeah.
It's essentially a tablet. That's what it is. But you're going to get RTX 4070 level performance out of it. I think the guys at I don't think it was Gamers Nexus. Somebody said it is one of the best releases in the past decade. People are so They love this thing. And I think it's a really great thing for AMD. And I think it really, you know how you see like all the different laptop vendors, they have like one AMD SKU, right?
Yeah.
But I think for this package, you're going to see a lot of AMD SKUs now with these because it gives you the performance. It's not something that's necessarily going to like overheat or anything like that. You can get it in these smaller form factors, which really help out a lot of people. But if they want to game at 1080p, they definitely can.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned where am I at? Yeah, in the article you mentioned like the M4 Apple's M4 series, right? I think what would be smart of AMD would be to, yes, this is like great for gaming and everything, but try and like market some of this to content creators that want like a portable but high powered piece, right? You talk about the Apple chip in there. All right, well, here's AMD's offering in a Windows environment for content creators, right?
Yeah.
Like spread that market out outside of just the gamer. Because I think this is a great option for content creators, right? You've got the horsepower there to take advantage of and speed up those types of workflows.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the performance, like Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p, 75.6 FPS at Ultra, Baldur's Gate 3, 85.3 FPS at Ultra at 1080p, GTA 5, 83.5 FPS at 1080p. And again, if you're playing like any type of Fortnite, Apex, like any of these titles, they'll play no problem at 1080p. For kids like Roblox, Minecraft, what are everybody playing these days? What are these kids
that's
playing?
what my kids are playing.
Like even
Fortnite,
what's the game we were playing the other week?
Marvel Rivals.
Marvel Rivals, like things like that should play no problem at 1080p on a system like this. So yeah, so hats off to AMD for that. Maybe that will make them some money so they can put that money into releasing a high-end GPU next time around, you know.
Maybe.
We'll see if that's actually the case. Moving on from there, Asus has a really cool mobile eGPU coming out. This is their ROG XG as part of their new 2025 gaming lineup. And in this little box, you can get an RTX 5090.
Yeah.
So use Thunderbolt 5
power cord going in there, but yeah,
big old. But here's the thing: is like I always say this too. Like imagine taking your thin and light little laptop, right?
Yep.
You're on the road. You got this thin and light, which is great. It's not like that big Dell you used to bring around, you know. And then you come home, you plug in one cable, you plug it into this thing, and then you have your big 4K monitor at home, and you can like legit play games at 4K.
Yeah, it's charging your laptop. All your connectivity is back to this eGPU on, like you said, on a big display. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so
all sorts
of stuff in there. But yeah, it's essentially like a big dock that has a GPU. You'll be able to get it with the 5090 as well as the 5070 Ti in there, depending on kind of what you want. But I think again, for like people who don't necessarily want a desktop, like if you're a laptop person and you don't want a desktop replacement, you know, because you don't want to be lugging this big thing around. But when you get home, you want to do some gaming, this is a very viable option. And it's not like the external GPU enclosures. You don't have to buy the GPU. It's all built in. It's just one cable. It's the Thunderbolt cable plug in, and that's it. Pretty easy, right? Yeah. So I don't know. Is there pricing on this? I don't think we have pricing yet. Okay. So, 1,200 for the 5070 Ti, 2,200 for the 5090.
That seems pretty reasonable. You know, because I mean, docks aren't cheap, and you know everything that Asus packs into this thing. You're getting
Ethernet in there. You're getting
Ethernet,
Thunderbolt
5,
5
gig, I think. 5 gig Ethernet.
Yeah. You're getting, like I said, a ton of stuff in there. I mean, extra ports, things like that. Like I said, think of it as a dock with a GPU in it. That's what I would say. Extra USB, and it's small. It's not like it's big either, too. So like those eGPU enclosures, like they're pretty big. This is not necessarily massive by any means. So yeah, I like it. Pretty cool to see there from Asus. Moving on from that. Okay, so was it last year we talked about was Qualcomm maybe buying Intel? Intel's losing all this money. Intel's trying to figure out what's going on. Is Intel going away? Now we hear that both Broadcom and TSMC might break up Intel, and Broadcom would buy the chip business, and TSMC would buy the foundry business of Intel. Do you see any of this happening?
I don't know. I it's a possibility. I hope not. Like Intel's just been around, it's like one of those staple companies that's been around. It's a great success story, but just the struggles and like this global market that is just filtering down to just some really dominant I should say a smaller list of dominant companies, right? Like the just ability to buy things up, and at one point you would have thought maybe Intel was one of those, and they were, and kind of still are, right? But the fact that other companies can be looking at buying out Intel,
or at least splitting it up, because maybe somebody doesn't want to buy the whole business. Obviously,
sure.
Broadcom doesn't need to buy the foundry business, but TSMC would be very interested in the foundry business. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Intel. I don't know what's going on with Intel. We've talked about this for a very long time, like over a year. Like what has actually happened to Intel? Because we have no clue. I don't know. It's crazy. If you look like 5 years back, I don't see this happening. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know. We were talking about their 5 or 7 or 10 nanometer
10
plus, right? Like how many years ago was that? And then they've had a couple hiccups here.
They've had security issues. They've had a bunch of stuff. So we'll move on from that to phones. And I'm an iPhone guy, and I'll probably always stick with an iPhone just because I'm kind of in that ecosystem. But it's been like a very long time since I've been like excited for a phone or saw something really cool where I was like, wow, like that would be useful. So Samsung is going to unveil this trifold phone, which is like a normal phone, but then you fold, it's a foldable, but it's trifold. So it actually folds out to a 10-inch tablet. What are your thoughts on this? Because you're like a Android guy.
Yeah, I am. I don't know. Let's see here. Actually, I know 2 people that have the Pixel, like the fold-out Pixel, right? And they really like it. It's just, I don't know. Every time I see them, I see the bend in the screen, and it just bugs me that it's not like perfectly flat. It just annoys me.
I feel like that's the biggest thing is the bend.
Yeah, and the reliability. I'm sure that these things have improved since the first ones we saw, right? Like there's no denying that. I don't know. And I go back to the talking point that we often have is like, I'm not the target audience for this. So while I think it's impressive and neat, it's not for me. Same thing with the handheld gaming, right? It would be cool if you're traveling and, ride a bus or a train or fly a lot, right? You pop this out and have a bigger screen to watch your entertainment with. You do some work on this, right? A lot more work than you can get done on just a standard phone. But I just am a user of larger, I got other devices if I want a screen this big.
Yeah. I actually would, I would never, like I said, I don't think I could get away from an iPhone, but if I would, this could be something I would consider just because like even the practical aspect, like I set it down here, I have it unfolded. It has my notifications on it, a lot larger. A second screen, you could get like the stuff to monitor your computer from your phone. It could do a lot of things.
How
which
thick
I would
is
like.
this thing folded up like that?
I don't know. That's another thing.
I'm someone that throws a phone in my back pocket like all the time, so it's gotta be big.
And this is the Huawei phone. So Huawei has one of those phones. So yeah, Who knows? But we'll see. I think I like this direction, right? I don't think this would ever force Apple to do this, but I like this. I like different form factors. We used to have a ton of different form factors in phones.
Sure.
So I definitely like this. I like not just the one little screen. We can do a little bit more.
That is like an understatement. We used to have a lot of form factors with phones. Like everybody had just their crazy designs. You had sliders. You had
sliders. You had
clamshell.
The clamshells. We had everything. And now
cameras that rotate around, right? Like just everything. And now it's like everybody has a rectangle with glass on the front.
Yep. Yeah, so it's nice to see something a little bit different. So see if that actually catches on. We'll end things here with gaming. Borderlands, new Borderlands game coming out. So Borderlands 4 launches in September 23rd, 2025. Were you a big Borderlands person?
I played the first one a little bit, but I didn't play it all the way through, and that was it. It was enjoyable, like
very enjoyable game. Especially when Borderlands first came out, like the art style was something I hadn't seen.
Was awesome.
Yeah, very, very cool. Lots of fun, open world. You could just have fun playing it. I really like Borderlands 3. Excited to see Borderlands 4. They released, like I said, the release date. It's going to come out on everything: PC, Xbox, PlayStation. They have a launch trailer if you guys want to check it out. It is in the article. I like it's. I haven't really been excited for a game. I mean, we'll talk about the next game, which everybody's really excited for. But it'll be good to be excited about another game. So, yeah, I think, I don't know. It would be, like I said, we'll probably use it in our benchmarking suite eventually too, because we used to use Borderlands 3. So maybe we'll use Borderlands 4. But yeah, I'm excited to see that. It's always a good playthrough as well. So the next game, which will be probably the most highly anticipated game to come out. We don't know when it's going to come out, but Corsair apparently knows when this game is coming out.
Yeah.
So the game I'm talking about, of course, is GTA 6. Now, Rockstar has said that this game is going to come out in 2025, but that is probably going to be on console. And when it comes to Rockstar games, it could be anywhere from 6 months to 4 years before we get it on PC. Nobody knows. But according to Corsair, in their latest earnings call, GTA 6 will come out on PC in early 2026.
That would be
awesome. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that'd be great. I hate the delay that we always get between the console and PC versions of this game. So the sooner we can get it, the better, as long as it's nice and polished.
We talked about this a few weeks back. Do you think it will be $100?
Oh yeah. Man, I don't know. If it is, like that puts you in kind of a tough spot, because it's also going to be a very large game install. So you've got people up against a potential $100 price tag, and then who all has to buy new drives, or a secondary drive or tertiary drive.
How big do you think the game's
to install this thing? I don't know, but it's
500 gigs,
right? Like that's what I'm saying. You got to have a 500 gigs of empty space. I mean, it's easier now. You know, a 2 terabyte NVMe drive isn't crazy expensive. 4 terabytes, a little more, more spendy. But if you've got a 4 terabyte drive and 500 gigs, that is one game.
Yeah. Be interesting to see. I would hope to see it early 2026. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We'll see.
You wonder like who on this call like just spouts that off. Right, and then they're going like, "Oh crap, I wasn't supposed to say that," or maybe Rockstar lets them, like,
or maybe Corsair is like the official partner for Grand Theft Auto themed,
right,
keyboard, mouse mat, either, or something. Maybe they're the official partner, so they know. They're like, okay, for PC at the PC launch, we're gonna have the keyboard, we're gonna have the mouse, we're gonna have the headset.
Yep.
Well,
even console, they can have their what is it, Astro headsets, and what are the
so maybe they know
the controllers.
They do know more than us. So we'll see. But if they do, that's good that we now know. So thanks for saying that on your earnings call.
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, so that is going to be news for the week. Coming up next week or tomorrow, I'll be taking a look at MSI's RTX 5070 Ti Gaming Trio OC Plus. Of course, this is an aftermarket overclock card, so the review comes out tomorrow instead of today. Stay tuned for that. I cover everything. Also, there will be the video on this on our YouTube channel. If you don't want to read the review, the video is also going to be out tomorrow. Everything at early in the morning tomorrow. So definitely stay tuned for that. We might have some other stuff. Just depends on everything that I get done here. Moving on to the question of the week. Of course, that's where we ask a question to me and Ryan. And I thought this one, since we talked about it a little bit, do you think NVIDIA cares about gamers?
I want to make a joke, but I'm not going to. NVIDIA doesn't care about gamers. In your best Kanye West
oh yeah
impression. Do I think they care about gamers? Yes. Do they care about them as much as they used to? No. I think the money that they can get in the data center is just way too enticing to be able to spend as much time, effort, money on research, development, making gamers happy when they know that they could keep working to advance data center and use some of that technology to feed us games, right? Like you start getting higher bandwidth type connections into people's homes, and now they own the GPU. You don't have to own a GPU. You're always getting upgrades. You just subscribe to this, right? You put people on that subscription model, and now that, what are we going to do about it? Like build our own GPUs? I don't know.
I think, yeah, I think you're 100% right. They still do care about gamers, but not as much. And I feel like maybe they're kind of a little lost in the sauce, sort of like Intel almost. Intel kind of lost the enthusiast over the past handful of years, right?
Sure.
They just like weren't doing things right, and a lot of the issues, and it was like, who's running this ship? Because it's not an enthusiast. It's not and it seems like with NVIDIA, they might be going down that road a little bit. Like, who's running the GeForce division? Do they care, or are they only getting it could also be, are they only getting a certain budget now because all of the other money is going towards AI and data center and things like that? I don't know. I hate to continually be disappointed, but I'm continually disappointed, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah. But and like we've said, like, what are you going to do? Like, there's no competition. So like a crap, not that their product is crap, but like they can continue to just essentially do what they want because there's not competition.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing.
Even though they can do better.
It's the Intel all over again when it came to CPUs. They could just get away with quad core for so long because there was no competition anywhere from anybody. And that's where I think AMD or even Intel eventually somebody needs to step up and be like, okay, we're going to make the 5090 competition or something. You know what I mean? Or maybe it doesn't have to even be 5090. Like it could be 5080 level, 80 level competition, because 5090 for a lot of people is just completely out of their price range and what they need. But 5080 and below, there needs to be some competition because right now there's not. And like you said, it just allows NVIDIA to just kind of just push the bar up just a little bit. We were used to getting this, and we get like right here,
Yeah.
So it's not great. I just hope that we get some competition and that we can, see some generational raw performance and doing a lot more for gamers. So we'll see what happens there. Anything else tech related you want to talk about? You want to show anybody?
No, I mean, just like I've been saying the last few weeks, I'm just messing around with my 3D printer like a madman, and just
there you go.
Designing stuff and just prototyping like little gadgets and stuff, and
that's good.
Just having fun with that. Yeah,
it's always good. Like I get so. Maybe that's the thing too, is like I'm so used because I review tech, it kind of like nothing excites you. So it's always good to get a piece of tech that like really excites you these days, if that makes sense.
And I mean, I did some video editing recently. I hadn't done any video in a while, and like that, I sat down and that was fun, like to get back in the swing of like, all right.
Are you still using that Torbox thing?
Not right now. Like my desk is still just like covered up with stuff, and it was like I wasn't using it a ton. So it's just off to the side right now.
Gotcha.
I need to reintegrate it for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've just been reviewing GPUs like a madman over here. So we should have some more coming because there's obviously more cards coming out. So definitely stay tuned for that. If what you should do tomorrow night is Canada versus USA in hockey.
Oh, is that what's that called?
Four Nations, the Four Nations series, okay. which has been, so just to give a quick backstory. So during this time, there always used to be an all-star game. This year, the NHL decided to do this Four Nations tournament. So it's Canada, USA, Sweden, and Finland, I think, were the Four Nations total. And it was a tournament. And you typically never got to see best on best hockey. It's just like something you don't get to see. So like the best players from Canada, best players from US. And the first US versus Canada game was literally insane.
It was wild, right?
It was some of the best hockey that I've ever seen. And the All-Star game is not necessarily it's a game. They just kind of pass the, like it's, if you look at any of the All-Star games, like basketball, it's nothing. Football, it's essentially flag football. It's right. So this is like a real hockey game, best on best. Like it's awesome. And Canada lost that game, but because of the rules of the tournament, if they beat the other teams, they could come back and play for like the championship. So that's tomorrow. Even if you're not a fan of hockey, I think it's such great sport, and they're going to be playing really hard. So I think it's going to be a really good game.
That'd be interesting. Like, I'm not opposed to like watching it. Like, we have a local like minor league hockey team here in town, right? So we go to those games every now and then, and it's always enjoyable. It's just not a sport I follow closely or anything. Like, I couldn't tell you.
That's the cool thing about it too, is that it's like, okay, it's like your nation. It's like, okay, USA.
Yeah. Well,
but then there's like players from like my team, like the Penguins, that are on
Canada,
Team Canada. So it's like you can kind of root for both. It's just fun. It's just a good. It's great hockey to watch. So even if you're not a fan of hockey, it's on tomorrow night. So that's definitely what I'll be doing tomorrow night. So really excited for that. But if you want to continue to hang out with us, even though the podcast is going to end, we do have a gaming stream. So that's run over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. Ryan runs that stream. We're going to be playing Apex this week.
We're going to do some Marvel again. Some Marvel?
Play some.
Yeah, because Shinny said he's going to be there. So, and he was like, I want to try some Rivals.
We'll play some.
Maybe we'll play both.
Maybe we'll play both. I don't know. But we'll be over there. So definitely get over there, say hi to Ryan, and yell at him for being bad at games. But that's where we're going to be. Twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. Until next week, we will catch